child has been assessed, then it is necessary to decide whether one-to-one support is needed, or if the child can have extra teaching in a small group. The advantage of one-to-one teaching is that the pace can be matched to the speed that the child is able to learn. Older children are particularly in need of a fast pace. They have a great deal of catching up to do. And if the child knows most of the letter sounds in step 1, but is poor at step 2, then start teaching step 2 as fast as possible, using similar activities to those in the section Preventing Reading and Writing Problems. The aim is always the same. How quickly can the child master the letter sounds in steps 1 to 5? The fluent blending of new words that use the known letter sounds? The segmenting and writing of words from dictation using the known letter sounds and with neat handwriting? And the learning of frequently used tricky words in steps 3 to 5. That is blending them and remembering the awkward bits. With older children, it is sensible to discuss the issues. The child needs to be given hope that the problems can be solved. Now, this means looking at the gaps in the letter sound knowledge together, as well as explaining what needs to be done to improve the blending, segmenting and writing. Encourage the child to take responsibility for his or her own learning. Like, here, these are our new letter sounds that you're going to learn. We've been practicing them. Now, do you think you can learn them really well by tomorrow? And can you blend these words that use them? Here we are. Here's the A ones and the O ones. Now, I'm going to put them in your envelope and I want you to practice blending those as many times as possible tonight. And by tomorrow, we'll see how well you can do. See if you can learn those really well. The children know very well that they are behind the other children and they really would like to do something about it. The secret, as far as possible, is to initially always make the steps in the teaching small enough to bring success all the time. And once the children start achieving the goals and feel successful, then the poor attitude usually goes. Then the children are willing to work even harder. Now, occasionally there is a child who persists in guessing, and it can help to break this habit by using a card like this that has the corner cut out. And the idea is to reveal the letter sounds bit by bit as they read. So they go along looking carefully. King, wizard, creeps into the kitchen. And this encourages the children to take notice of each letter sound in the word as they are revealed. Parents have usually struggled to get their difficult and unwilling children to do their homework, and the last thing they want are more battles. Therefore, it is important that the children understand that it is in their own interests to learn the alphabetic code quickly. This is their real chance of becoming a good reader. Now, once a child has started to feel success, then it is worth suggesting that his or her progress would be much faster if he or she started to do some work at home. A better attitude comes when the child, especially a child who is older than 9, takes responsibility for his or her own homework. It is really their responsibility to ask their parents or guardians to listen to them saying the letter sounds, to listen to them reading words, blending unknown words, or reading decodable books, or to call out letter sounds, words, or sentences for them to write. Parents nearly always want to be supportive. In the beginning, start with only a small amount of homework, which is relatively easy, and give plenty of praise for what has been done. Gradually encourage the child to want to do extra homework. This brings more praise and the child feels even better about his or her progress. And this is when some children start to make huge improvements. They feel successful. They're actively pushing themselves to master the skills. And once the blending has improved, then decodable reading books are invaluable. It is essential that these books only use the tricky words that have been taught and words that use the letter sound knowledge that the child knows and can decode. And more information about decodable books is available in the section on decodable readers. The aim is to get the children through the stage of needing decodable readers and onto free reading as soon as possible. And this can happen when the letter sounds in steps 1 to 5 are known and there is confidence in the reading. Encourage parents to discuss the stories and help their children understand the meaning of any words that are not known. Dictation homework is the most effective for learning the letter sounds and developing the skill of writing. Word lists or word boxes are important for blending practice, and when the time is right, decodable readers. It is also worth writing in a homework book like this and recording what you would like the child to do. Then the parents can tick off when they have done it. Initially, everything the child is given should be relatively easy for him or her. The aim is to bring fluency and automaticity to the tasks and not to actually teach the skill at home. It might be appropriate to record the dictation on a voice recorder so that the child can do that part of the homework completely on his or her own. So they set the recorder going and listen. Good.
Then
Up.
and then
Oh.
and
A.
A.
And then
Sleep. O.
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 And then to listen to words.
Now I'd like you to write the 6 words. And the first one is number 1. Gift.
Gift.
Gift. Number 2. Up. Up. Number 3. Laid.
Laid.
Laid. Number 4. Soap.
Soap.
Soap. Number 5. Drain. Drain.
Rain.
And number 6. Float.
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 That's it for today.
And the children get used to doing this. At the end of 6 months, it is worth checking on the child's progress by giving him or her another reading and spelling test. The same test can be used so long as there has been no teaching to the test and there is at least 6 months between each test. Ideally, with the extra teaching, the child should have progressed at least threefold. That is an improvement of 18 months in 6 months. If that has been achieved, then the child is successfully catching up with the children of a similar age. It is a good aim and can often be achieved with 3 to 5 sessions a week of one-to-one teaching. Now, frequently, higher results can be obtained, as reported by Dr Marlynne Grant, whose longitudinal studies I have already spoken about in preventing reading and writing problems. Now, just look at the results of this group of children, 20 children. They're in Year 7, which is the first year of secondary education. The children were 11 to 12 years old. And for 3 out of the 5 usual English lessons, these children were taught synthetic phonics for 28 weeks as a class. And you can see that there were no measurable scores for reading and spelling in the pre-test. And yet, 6 months later, these 20 children were able to read and spell between 8 years 5 months and 10 years 5 months on the post-testing. This means that the weakest child was able to make 3 years 5 months progress in 6 months, and the most able child made 5 years 5 months progress. And the other 18 children were somewhere between the two. What really needs to be asked is why these children, after 7 years of education, were unable to score at all on the reading and spelling tests. at the beginning. And yet, after 6 months of synthetic phonics, were able to make between 3 and 5 years progress. Now, obviously, there was nothing wrong with the children if they could make that kind of rapid progress. They were perfectly able to learn so long as they had the right kind of teaching. Synthetic phonics teaching is best for all children, but for some children like these, it is absolutely essential.